well, still talking about this shit, but yeah. So, what was like a song that kind of like evokes like a personal like memory for you? And like, can you tell the story of that?
Man, I think as a child, um, just listening to the radio before I was even into music, before I even picked up any instrument, before I even thought about what music is. Well, I got memories of church songs from just being with my mom at church. But I think being on punishment in the room, not being able to watch TV, and all I had was the radio. I was listening to something. I was young. Like I think it was "You Can Ring My Bell." That one, long time ago. And I remember just like I think I taped it and was just rewinding it. Like, man, I like this, man. And then I started to like rewind stuff. Like I don't think I ever rewound things, and I think that was the first one. And then that's like I think Doves Cry and Prince Purple Rain came out. I started rewinding that. I didn't rewind everything, man, but some things I just started rewinding, man. And I think I started to, and then I would make up little stories and plots and plays because I was on punishment a lot actually, and, and like TV, so I was just making up stories and plays to the music, but I think that's when I really fell in love with music. Like, man, I'm feeling something. Like I feel this. Like I love this. And then, at first it was just pop and stuff. And even when I started playing my instruments, like I thought that Kenny G was good. When I first started playing sax, I was like, oh wow, he's awesome on sax, until I started listening more and I was like, oh, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, like, oh. And then I just went down a rabbit hole, and then I've also always been open-minded, man. It wasn't just like, so like I said, Ring My Bell was a song, but that was like a certain type of disco thing. But I'll listen to rock. I think maybe us 80s kids, I don't know, like maybe I think the new kids are open-minded too. I ain't gonna say they're not. I think these new internet kids are open-minded too. But I know that in the 80s, I remember us like, it used to be soul music, rock music, black music, white music, and I was listening to all of it. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't just to the soul music or just Earth, Wind and Fire, or I was listening to the white stuff too, and yeah, I think that's what started, man. That first Ring My Bell was when I realized, oh shoot, I like this, and started rewinding music, and then I just kind of went down the rabbit hole from there.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely remember that "Ring My Bell." Like the "You can ring my bell,
Yeah,
ring my bell, ring that something something, ding a ling a
yeah,
ling."
yeah,
Yeah.
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 That would turn me out when I was a little kid. I said, woo, I like this one.
Yo. Oh, do you remember the first time you heard it?
Man, I want to say I was in the first grade, man. Maybe say because that was a '70s song. So I think I was like first grade or something, man. I was real young, super
Yeah.
young, and
No,
and that didn't make me a musician either. I didn't say okay, I want to be a musician. I just said like I love music. Like I just started rewinding music and loving music.
yeah. Yeah. No, I could definitely like dig that, man. No,
Mm,
honestly, like yeah, for me growing up, like music was just always a part of like everything. And like I was born in like 81, basically.
mm,
And there was never a time that I didn't know that I just wasn't aware of like music. It was just something that was always there. I still I've been saying this a whole lot lately, but like Prince, like I was so much into music that by the time Purple Rain came out in like 84, I was waiting for Purple Rain to come out because I was already loving like 1999. Like
mm,
1999 was like already like my shit. And
That's it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so like I don't know, I wonder about that sometimes. Like with the way that different people like listen to music because I notice like that's it's something that's funny. Like after like doing like more of these like talks and things, when people like sort of actually start to like acknowledge music, it's different for like different people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still remember the first tape that I bought with my own money was actually like the first Tribe album, and so I
Oh,
had to be, so I was like what like 7, 8 at
mm-hmm.
this time, and then there's like some folks that are like, yeah, I didn't buy my first thing until like 13, like 14. So it's just fascinating to like see that. But then also, man, like something that's interesting. Like you were born like late 70s, right?
70s, yeah.
Yeah.
74. So 81 is probably when I heard Ring My Bell.
Okay. Man, I
Mm-hmm.
think the way that people listen to music, so this is something that else I noticed. The way different people listen to music, like changed. But I also am starting to like see like different correlations between the way that the music is presented. So I think on some level, from my understanding, there's like certain radio stations. There's a lot of radio stations that didn't necessarily differentiate as much between like white and black music. I mean, it was, but it wasn't like to the degree that it was like later. But then also, like I was looking at something else like the other day that was talking about like MTV. Yeah. Well, of course, there was the point where they didn't have like a lot of like black artists. Well, they actually didn't have any for a while. But ultimately, it wasn't necessarily separated by genre. It was just like video after video after
That's
video.
true. That's true.
And the like sort of like separating, like that didn't come until like later.
Yeah.
Um,
Go MTV Raps or something like that.
yeah, exactly. So like Yo MTV Raps and like Headbangers Ball and 120 minutes. Was it 120 minutes or another one? So like I feel like somehow in my generation, it was a little bit more. They started to become more focused on genres. But I think the
Mm-hmm.
generation now, since they get a lot of their shit from like so many different places and primarily through the internet, and it's not necessarily as much of a centralized like
Right.
point of
Right.
introduction, then they're a bit more open in a
Mm,
certain way. But at the
yeah.
same time, like they also, I feel like don't engage with it the same way sometimes.
Right.
But it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Yeah, because the thing about the internet is you think like, okay, it's the World Wide Web and you can get anything, but you only get what you choose. So you could just pick the same shit and not be open-minded too at the same coin. But it's available, but everybody's not taking advantage of how open-minded you could be, so to
Uh,
speak.
No, this is true. Also, just with the way that like everything is on the internet, it's everybody's trying. There's a certain level of it that it is starting to become a bit more kind of like segmented and categorized
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit more. There's like corners of the internet where it's not as much, but it's still there. It's much more
I
there
mean,
than what it
and
was.
then you got the AI, which is a whole nother demon, where they just feeding you what they think you want, based on what you've picked.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh Lord. And then that's when you get the Trumpers and the QAnons and all of these people with these ridiculous
No,
things.
no, this is definitely true. Also, like especially with the whole like algorithm shit. Because
Mm-hmm.
yo, like real talk, for a while, my favorite thing to do like was I used to treat YouTube like record store surfing, basically. I would treat it like going to a record store and then just like checking out a whole bunch of different shit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be able to go, and you know what I'm saying, like I'm in a vibe. So I know like what it is that I'm trying to go for, that I'm trying to explore.
Mm-hmm.
So I would maybe choose like 5 songs, and then the recommendations would show something that's like in a similar vein.
Mm-hmm.
But then I remember when they changed it from that into trying to predict what you would get based on
Mm-hmm.
like what you got. So it became much more of like trying to feed you more of the same things.
Yeah.
rather than what you were trying to explore, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And and that really threw me off actually. Like that
Yeah.
really pissed me off. So yeah, so there's definitely like that aspect of it. Like sort of the
Drags me a little bit too, because like it's not that I don't want to hear the suggestions. I was like, oh wow, that could be cool. I wasn't trying to go there. You know what I mean? It's like,
y-
um, can you hear me?
yeah.
I'm moving through the house. But yeah, so like, like I might want to hear some classical, then I want to hear something else, or I want but because I put on some rap, then I'm getting all these other rap suggestions, and I'm like, oh wow, that could be cool. And I kind of want to click on the rap suggestion, but it's like distracting me from, like what I was actually trying to do. So, but it's cool. I mean, it's not like an end of the world kind of problem. It's just a little annoying sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just relevant towards what we're talking about, and we're just talking about the way that people are like exposed to music and like in different generations and whatnot.
Right, right.
But like you said, that is like how like not that pretty much is like how those algorithms and things like work, and how you end up with things like the QAnon or whatnot because it feeds into that bubble rather than trying to expose you to like everything
Other
else.
perspectives. Yeah, man. And it's really important to have other perspectives. That's one thing I enjoyed about my music education at college, because they forced me to check out some shit that I would not have checked out. Like I was all into like learning how to play my horn and figuring out jazz and figuring out what I wanted to figure out. And they forced me to like check out certain classical musics and things. And I was like, eh. But once I got into it, I understood more and why they wanted me to be exposed to that. So, just following what you want to follow is not necessarily the best direction all the time, man. It's cool to be exposed to something new. And even like when I first went to Cuba the first time, the traditional music is one thing, but the young kids are listening to like reggaeton.
Yeah.
And when I was here in Atlanta, I hated reggaeton. I was like, what in the hell is this shit? Or like when I first went to DC and heard go-go, I was like, what in the hell is this shit? But then I had to experience it. Like I had to go to the go-go club in DC and see the people dancing to it and feel the whole thing. And then I understood it. Like, oh, okay, because just hearing it on the tape or however I heard it in my dorm room, I was like, this shit sucks. But
Yeah.
then when I went to the actual go-go, I was like, oh, wow, this is a whole thing. Same with reggaeton. I thought reggaeton sucked, but then when I went to Cuba and saw how they partied to it, I was like, oh, I can feel it now. I see why they love it like this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so and now I feel more open-minded, like because I can listen to reggaeton and go-go, and I can listen to all these things. A lot of people can't hear nothing else but whatever they want to hear, and everything else sucks. Like, oh, that's trash. That's trash. It's like
Yeah, no, you
try
gotta
to.
train it, man. That's like the thing is, man, is like you gotta train it, but that's like not even just for training the ear. It's not just only training the ear to be able to be open to other things or to figure out how to receive other energies that you're not anticipating. I look at that as like that's just like a personal thing. Like that's something that like once you cultivate that, like musically, you also cultivate that as a person, and you become like
Right.
more like open to like other people,
Yeah. Yep.
and regardless of like what their differences are to you.